Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE Smackdown on November the 1st, 2016. And well, this show is a mixture of them building their main event towards the TLC pay-per-view, but also building a lot more around the Survivor Series concept with everything, how everything's going on in there with the Survivor Series with the teams and everything in that sense. They started off the show with James Ellsworth coming out there. He wants to apologize to Dean Ambrose and everything in that sense for what happened for the week before. And Ambrose comes out and essentially does accept the apology, but Ellsworth keeps rambling on and on. Eventually AJ Styles comes out and he actually tries to do a little bit that would try to turn James Ellsworth on Dean Ambrose. It was kind of interesting where they were going with that promo, and eventually it just leads to both Ambrose and AJ and Ellsworth trying to keep them away from each other, and this allows AJ to get the attack in on Dean Ambrose. He knocks out Ellsworth and eventually takes out Ambrose with the phenomenal forearm. Actually fairly good segment there. I just like the aspect of some of the quirks that Dean Ambrose plays off of with James Ellsworth. It's and some of the jokes he goes off and does about it as well. I mean, this plays out throughout the entire night because the next segment they had was Daniel Bryan. Dean Ambrose and James Ellsworth back there, and he's still trying to apologize throughout the entire thing. And Daniel Bryan comes up and says, and tells Dean Ambrose he's going to get one more chance at AJ Styles, but to rectify everything, this was going to be his final chance and to become number one contender, and tells James Ellsworth to stay in the back and not be anywhere near ringside. But of course, throughout the entire time, you know how the story goes. You tell somebody that they can't do something, they do everything in their power to try to get out there. So Ellsworth throughout the night is trying to find a way to be at ringside, and eventually he gets let out by Dean Ambrose. And I love the little line that he puts in there. It's just like everyone says, any man with two hands can call an Uber and get picked up. So a little bits in there. I kind of like the interaction between Ellsworth and Ambrose throughout the night. It was that quirkiness, that's a little bit of silliness, but seriousness to go along with it. Ambrose doesn't want him out there to potentially ruin his final chance of getting the number one contendership and everything in that sense. I liked how they played off of it throughout the night, and I'll talk about the main event a little bit later on. Let's go ahead and talk about, well, what was pretty much the rest of the show here. First of all, you have Kane going up against Randy Orton in a no disqualification match. Rather quick match between the two of them because the Wyatts come out and they help Randy Orton out. So they're playing off this aspect that maybe Orton's joining the Wyatt family. And I like how they do a backstage segment a little bit later on where you have, and you see it a little bit in the in-ring side too, where Luke Harper's apprehensive. He's not necessarily trusting of Orton's position at this point with the whole aspect of potentially joining the Wyatt family and everything. But you even feel it from Bray a little bit too. It's I kind of feel like you're playing me, but let's see where we can go with this. You kind of get that feeling a little bit, and you get the feeling from Luke Harper's side that it's I don't want to even do this in any way, shape, or form from him. And you had that little bit at the end where it feels like that maybe Randy Orton's been brainwashed a little bit because they have a flicker of fire or a firefly in his eyes. It was an interesting segment. And we'll see where they go with it. We'll just see where they go with this throughout the entire time. It could be interesting to see where they decide to play off of everything. It could be one of those bits where it's just your typical Orton's trying to get it, trying to play mind games by getting with the Wyatts, and then he eventually turns on them. Or do they go further with it, like he helps Bray do something really sinister, and then eventually, maybe even win the title to an extent, and then turns on him and to get the WWE title in the end. It could be a bunch of different things that they go with in this sense of everything. You also had Nikki Bella and Becky Lynch going up against Alexa Bliss and Carmella. They had Carmella and Alexa Bliss go over, same fashion as last month, right before the No Mercy pay-per-view. Alexa Bliss gets the pin over Becky Lynch, putting her over strong before going into the title match against Becky next week. So, and of course afterwards, Becky Lynch cuts a promo about the match next week, and the Survivor Series match as well. This was a little key of everything. Like, they're playing off of their other storylines, but they're also playing up the aspect of the Survivor Series team matches. You even have Carmella saying is like she better be on the team because they'll lead them to they'll help them out into victory and everything in that sense, even though she doesn't like Nikki Bella and everything to go along with that. But here's the one thing that they're trying to do on SmackDown, which is an interesting way of going. So last week you had a match between Nikki Bella and Natalya. The winner was the captain, the loser was out. Now they're having Natalya become the coach. And they're also having her play this little bit where she does cat calls as well. Like, she purrs at Shane McMahon and, like, a little bit of growl or something like that in that sense. It was really weird to go along with it. So they give her the weirdest gimmicks, some of the weird gimmicks to go along with everything. This time it's kind of more of a cat type feeling. It came off a little bit weird, but she's made the coach, and she said she's going to turn all of the little kittens into lionesses or something. In that sense, like I said, it's like a lot of cat puns to go along with it. It should be interesting to see where they go with that side of everything. They also have more qualifying matches for the tag teams, for the tag Survivor Series match. It's so weird to say that. It's because it's 5 different tag teams and a team setting, so it's going to be 20 people in the end. That'll be an interesting match. I think it's going to probably be the one that's probably the not so good one of the night, particularly for those ones. You had American Alpha go up against the Spirit Squad, and this was right before the Miz TV segment. So you had them go and both have a match. It was a rather quick match. American Alpha goes over. Nothing more than what you would expect here. Matter of fact, a lot of these matches are kind of, even though they're qualifying matches that give a little bit more meaning, they're kind of the people that you expected to win. Like the Hype Bros won. Heath Slater and Rhino are already on the team. American Alpha won, and then then Daniel Bryan during his Miz TV segment. I like how he plays off of everything before he announces the Survivor Series team for the male side. He says, "Oh, and we're going to have 2 more qualifying matches for the Tag Team Survivor Series match." Like, just to downplay the whole aspect of the other one and try to get under the Miz's skin a little bit more to go along with it. And then, of course, he announces the Survivor Series team. Now, the aspect that he leaves off of it, he leaves 2 people off. He leaves off The Miz and Dolph Ziggler. So Dolph Ziggler and The Miz aren't even on the team. So he has AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, and Baron Corbin. So he has all 5 of those guys on the male superstar team for Survivor Series. And I love the aspect of what they did with The Miz. Afterwards, saying it's like, why was he not on the team? Was he even considered? Was it this? Was it that? And of course, the back and forth between Daniel Bryan and The Miz came off really good again, like it usually does. They have to pay this off somehow. I don't know how they're going to do this. After they do the little tirade where Daniel Bryan says the reason why you weren't put on the team is because you're too afraid of a fight. Basically, they needed people to fight on their terms. Basically saying it's like, hey, we've got to fight for you guys. Okay, and then most people would just go like, oh, it's like, okay. Even though Bray Wyatt, Baron Corbin, and Randy Orton aren't necessarily team players, like you tell them about a fight, they go fight for some unbeknownst reason in that sense. But Miz, like you tell him to go to a fight, and it's like not on his terms. So it's like, no, I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it in any way, shape, or form. So that's the bit that they do for there. I thought the segment came off really good. Miz sits down on commentary for the next match, which was supposed to be an open challenge for the Intercontinental title. Ends up being Kurt Hawkins. It's a 1-move match. Super kick and done. Get done with that match really quickly. and of course Ziggler goes over. So much for Kurt Hawkins and his debut and everything in that sense. Afterwards, Ziggler cuts a promo on The Miz and saying, like, you know what? If you're going to do the match on your terms, I'm going to do things on my terms. And he challenges anyone to Raw to an Intercontinental title open challenge match at Survivor Series. And of course, Miz goes ballistic because he was expecting to, challenge for the title there or something in that sense. So it came off rather well, honestly. It did come off rather well with everything, and I do find myself enjoying the storylines on SmackDown a little bit more. It's hard to say why. Maybe it's an aspect that they seem to flow a little bit more, and then they kind of have different twists and turns to counteract the aspect that they don't have necessarily so much talent on the show. So they do throw some twists and turns, like this is a twist and turn to the Miz and Ziggler storyline that's been going on, and it's been coming off rather well. The other qualifying match they have for the tag team side was the Usos going up against the Headbangers. Again, what you would expect. They bring in somebody just for the aspect of the qualifying matches. Like I said, gives it more meaning, but like each team that they put in there, you know the other team's winning in that sense of everything. So so they have one more qualifying match. It's gonna be the Von Villains versus, I don't know, somebody, and it'll be interesting to see how they play off of everything. And this brings us into the main event of the night, which was AJ Styles going up against Dean Ambrose. And of course, like I said before, when you tell somebody they can't be at ringside, of course they find their way to ringside. Ellsworth finds his way through the crowd and is getting chased. Like they're having like AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose were having a really good match, and then Ellsworth finds his way through the crowd and starts causing a little bit of commotion and everything. Eventually, it leads to to AJ sliding off the ring apron, hitting Ellsworth, and then going for the phenomenal forearm, and then gets countered in the Dirty Deeds, and Dean Ambrose wins as James Ellsworth was being dragged off by security. And by dragged off, I mean he was knocked out getting dragged. And you have like little bits where Dean Ambrose is trying to help him up and then just puts him back to the ground and everything to that sense. It was not, well, first of all, the match itself was good. It was a fun match. It was a good match between the two of them. And then you have the continuation, the whole thing with Ellsworth and AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose to go along with it. It's interesting to see how people always react to the aspect of James Ellsworth. Like, he's crazy over in most of the live crowds, but you also hear people talking in chats like, why are they giving it to this guy and not giving a chance to somebody else who has been within the company? It's an aspect of them playing off of I think they're playing it off as more of a bit where he's that underdog type character, and he just wants to sit there and help out and do whatever he can, and it kind of plays more off to Dean Ambrose more than anything in that case. At least that's how I feel. It seems like they play off of it more towards Dean Ambrose, like he's helping out this guy who would be an underdog, necessarily wouldn't be there or anything in that sense, as AJ Styles kind of picks on him to go along with everything. So he's kind of that third wheel to go along with it. He's the guy in the middle that kind of brings the storyline together at this point in time. And we'll see where they go with everything. Overall, this week's SmackDown I thought was pretty good. It was a pretty good SmackDown this week. I did find it enjoyable. They do play up, and they did a very good job of playing up the Survivor Series matches to go along with it, and how they're going to do things with the Survivor Series. And also an aspect, like during Talking Smack, they say, hey, Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles are going to be in a TLC match for the WWE title at Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. So I really wish they'd get rid of that name for a pay-per-view, but they probably won't. But whatever, in that case. But overall, like I said, relatively good SmackDown. I thought it was thoroughly enjoyable. We'll see where they go with everything for SmackDown side and Raw side as well, going into Survivor Series, and we'll see how everything ends up playing off storyline-wise after that. And that's my review this week for WWE Smackdown. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.